You're in Saudi Arabia here at this forum. What are you here for?
Well, JPMorgan has been here for 80 years, so we've been banking both the government, the kingdom itself, and a lot of the companies here for the whole time I've been here and way before that. So, they're having a big forum now, as you've seen, sponsored by the government to enhance, business and to enhance its relationship with the United States. The president's here, the president of the kingdom together today, so we joined to be part of what's going on here.
How much bigger will your operations in the Middle East and in Saudi Arabia get?
Yeah, well, when my first trip here, we had one person. It was one receptionist, was a female. We now have 80. 30, I think almost 30 are women, by the way, including several MDs, including that woman who was the receptionist the first time. And, we're part of the banking system here. We're part of the brokerage system here. We, like I said, we bank a lot of the big companies and we bank the government. So we'll be getting bigger over time as the Middle East, as Saudi Arabia and the Middle East grow.
Does it make a difference? So you do a lot of the bond sales for them as well. Does it make a difference if 2030 vision works out?
Yeah. Well, you pointed out we've done about $27 billion of bonds for both the government and we do it for some of their companies. Look, the Vision 2030, every country should try to have a vision of how it develops itself over time, how it improves its businesses, how it improves the lives of its people. And so, yeah, it makes a big difference. If they succeed, it'll be good for the people here and it'll be good for business.
Jamie Dimon, JPMorgan has the highest market share in its history in several areas. Deposits, FICC, equities. Can you grow further?
Certainly going to try. Some areas the answer is yes. Some I do think is kind of high, and it shouldn't be expected to continue forever. But the world is going to double in size in the next 12 or 15 years. There's plenty of opportunity. There are plenty of threats. The FinTech and competitors around the world. But we spend a lot of money in technology. We know what we're doing. We operate around the world. We help companies go around the world. We're in the emerging markets, which will grow twice as fast as the developed markets. So, yeah, we're pretty comfortable about our future.
But can you break down the units where you want to defend your market share and the ones where you're aggressively trying to push it?
Well, I want to grow it everywhere.
Of course
I think it's going to be harder in some areas because we have a high market share, and clients, want multiple vendors and suppliers, and that's completely understandable. So, publicly we've said, in investment banking in certain areas it may be harder to gain share, but it doesn't mean we can't gain share in this country or that part of the world. So we haven't given up gaining share. We just know it's going to be a little bit harder.
What about fixed income? A lot of your competitors are trying to really beef up that.
Yeah, well, we have a good share there, and I think it'll be hard to gain. But again, when we look at it, if you look at the number share, yeah, but if you look at what we can do better in that country, this country, we have plenty of things we can do better around the world. And a lot of it's going to go to technology, so we got to build a thing there to maintain our share. So competition is a good thing, okay? I've never been worried about competition. You want a competitive world.
Of course, as long as you're better than that.
Well, that's our goal. That's what we try to do, yeah.
Jamie Dimon, we spoke in Paris a couple of months ago, and at the time we talked quite a lot about regulation. What's the mood now? Are you still as confident about the future for Wall Street?
Yeah. I think when you talk about regulation, the Trump administration wants to deregulate certain things, and most of us in business think that regulations have been holding back growth. And that holding back growth has hurt all citizens of these countries, not just, not JPMorgan. It's very important people understand that. So I'm still optimistic that you'll have some regulatory reform. After years of regulations, it makes sense. Even my Democratic friends understand that it makes sense to look at what was done, what could be done better, what can simplify the burden on businesses, what can help people expand employment and grow the economy. So no one's asking for wholesale throwing out of regulations. Just look at it in the light of day and improve what was done.
But what do you make, for example, of GlassSteagall? And then it was tried to be talked about a modern GlassSteagall, which I think investors were confused of what that could actually mean.
Yeah, well, look, GlassSteagall wasn't part of the problem. No one I know says that was what caused the problem. And so, I think when they're talking about GlassSteagall, is saying, would you regulate smaller banks differently than the bigger banks? Well, that's perfectly understandable. And so let them sort that out. And I don't think it's going to stop our ability to compete or do anything like that. So,
would you be opposed to any foreign acquisitions? Are you on the hunt to buy something?
We're not on the hunt to do anything right now, but I wouldn't take it off the table down the road. So acquisition will be back in our future one day.
In what kind of? I don't know if it's a region that you want to beef up, or is it specific operations?
Well, for JPMorgan Chase itself, the important part is there is no area we can't grow organically. So we can add bankers in countries, private bankers, investment bankers, corporate bankers, branches in the United States, branches overseas. So my first thing is organic, but there may be acquisitions in technology in countries that make a lot of sense. But they're going to have to make a lot of sense for us to do it.
So more into like FinTech or something that would be seen as a rival?
It could be FinTech related, payment related, customer service that you can just add on to. We've already announced we're going to be having online self-investing and online account opening. Right now, a lot of treasurers, you can buy and sell. We had someone do a $400 million FX trade on their mobile phone. So we're just adding a lot of services that, so if we got to buy some or build it, makes no difference to me as long as the client's happy.
So how much do you think of business will be transacted on that in 5-10 years?
A lot. If you look at the consumer side, it's already hugely moved to mobile. And, they look at their accounts, they look at alerts. Bill pay will be moving there. Corporate, we've already seen FX, you'll see some equities. But when you say mobile, whether it's mobile, iPad, online, it's all the same to me. It's how do you want to access the services of JPMorgan Chase?
Overall, how are the animal spirits in the United States, but also in the world economy?
Pretty good. Japan is growing more than it's grown in like 15 years. Europe's doing actually rather well, all things considered. America's still chugging along at 2% give or take, and so that's all pretty good. Even the IMF, which is always warning about stuff, is now saying, well, the world's going to grow a little bit faster than they expected.